this is it, guys. For a lot of us, today is the final day when we can use the Clepsydra Torrent event in Dragonheir Silent Gods and reset our champions for free and just try different teams, have fun every 5 minutes, because that's what I'm doing at the moment. And it's the moment to take a decision and pick the very first team that we're going to have in Dragonheir Silent Gods. Of course, it's not the final team because we're going to be able to build many other champions, but this will be the core team that will enable us to advance from here on. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. I'm going to give you the recipe to succeed and to pick your champions, because I know a lot of you guys will be confused and will be like, oh my god, what champions should I keep for this now? What am I picking, you know? So because everybody has different champions, it's very hard for me to make a universal guide and be like, pick these 5 champions and that's it. Everybody can do that basically, you know? And of course there are different things coming at the middle that you should prioritize over other things in order to have a much better progression and don't get stuck. So I'm gonna follow all these steps that I'm gonna follow for my own account to share them with you guys, and hopefully will allow you to advance further from here on. So you see, I have quite a few champions. I have legendaries, I have epics. I played in the beta, so I got to keep all my champions from the beta. But I'm not gonna use all these legendary champions, and there are different reasons why I don't think is a good idea. Now I'm gonna explain you all that in just a second. First, let's start with the principles of building a team. So when you are encountering any sort of content, you're gonna be able to have the elemental affinity bonuses, and that can be beneficial, or it's not necessarily the breaking point of a team. Today I've beat the O's boss without having an elemental affinity bonus. But right here you're getting extra stats, and they are quite a bit, like 29% attack, 20% defense. It's pretty damn juicy, right? So it's hard to say no to it when you can have it. That's why I would suggest you to make sure you're picking 3 heroes that are the same elemental affinity, like fire with poison, or radiance with lightning, or frost with necrosis, because you're gonna cover this problem, right? And the very first thing that you need to have in your team is support. And you already have the Traveler, which can just swap elements and is a flexible character because of the ability to change elements. On the Frost is a great support. It's gonna shield your team, it's gonna deal a bit of damage, so that's pretty good. And the next thing that you're going to need if you want to succeed in the regular content, you're gonna need a decreased attack, you're gonna need a tank, preferably a champion that could potentially bring you a bit of healing, could potentially bring you more than just a decreased attack or a stun on the waves, you know? Don't worry about arena content, because all the heroes, if you have one hero at level 70, for arena it will move all the other ones at 70, so you don't have to worry about it whatsoever. So I have Furbat as my tank, and most probably I'm gonna keep him because of attack penalty, and I'm getting the healing. But I have no crowd control for him whatsoever, and I don't need it, okay? I don't care about that crowd control that early on. Now, if you don't have a tank similar with him, you can always use Horus. Horus is a pretty good champion, and everybody gets him for free once you're gonna log in the game for 3 days. You're getting decreased attack, you're getting some crowd control, and of course, you're getting his passive, which is pretty nice. You're getting the Captain Aura, HP in all battles, very beneficial all around. So, we've so far picked the team. We have the Traveler, we have Horus. Then we need healers, we need cleansers. Cleansers are going to be very, very, very important. We have Hexandra as the next healer in here, and let's actually replace the champion there. Hexandra, free for everybody, she rocks. I would strongly suggest you to keep her up and running. The next thing, how I mentioned, we're gonna need a cleanser. And I don't need a cleanser for this dungeon in particular, I don't need a cleanser for the Goblin, but if I wanna beat the domains and beat other content and still advance at a slow pace, if not fast pace, I will need a cleanser. So you have an option as a rare champion, which is Anna. She's an awesome hero, and she's more accessible than the rest of the cleansers that are epic or legendary. So I'm personally gonna keep her most probably instead of my legendary one, because the legendary one has a very long cooldown, okay? And I don't have that hero scrolled. My rare hero is scrolled, you know, so I'm gonna keep her. Then you do need to bring in a DPS champion. And there are quite a few decent options. If we're gonna keep Ellie in the team, we're gonna keep the elemental affinity bonus too. He's a 3, in my opinion, in the Goblin because he has an AoE. He's gonna do a decent job in there. Now, I haven't mentioned it yet, but my main priority will be to beat the Goblin on the highest stage with the highest star possible. Because if I can farm the Goblin today with all the stamina that I have, or tomorrow, that will allow me to build 2-3 more champions. And that means that I'm gonna be able to build the second team very fast. Now, if I'm stuck on the Goblin and I have 4 support heroes, 1 damage dealer, and I barely beat the Goblin, that means that, my progression will be slow from here on because I cannot farm XP for my heroes. So, it's key to have DPS champions. Now we have Irina, a very awesome free rare champion. You might do a different combination of elements, so it's gonna work perfectly in your team. For me, unfortunately, I'm gonna break my elemental affinity bonus if I'm gonna bring her in as a DPS champion. So, in my opinion, that's a bit of a no-no. Now, if I want to bring another awesome DPS champion for some of the bosses and potentially as well for the goblins, even though she's not fully AoE or anything like that, Sigrid, man, Sigrid absolutely rocks. Like, tons of damage, you're getting decreased attack, healing prohibition, which is going to be very, very helpful. So I would strongly suggest you to keep her in. Now, I already have 7 champions at level 70. And I gotta say it, I haven't been efficient with my resources and the way I've been playing the game since it got launched at all because, hey, I'm running 2 YouTube channels, I'm streaming live on Twitch, I have a newborn baby, and I gotta breed every now and then. So my stamina is pretty stacked, actually. It's always stacked. Right now, I think I have 180 stamina on top of it because I haven't done a single dungeon run today. And that's one of my mistakes. And I feel like other people that play the game more efficiently will have more heroes at higher level than I do, you know? So you're not gonna start this with 5 heroes only. You're gonna start it with 7, possibly 8 heroes, which will allow you to bring in more damage dealers. That's the main place where people will struggle to pick their champions. Damage dealers. I feel like, yes, you're sorting your support, you're sorting the rest, and then you're gonna wonder, what damage dealers should I use? So, I have our tier list right here, guys. I'm gonna link it for you if you haven't saw it just yet. But I would suggest you to look at the champions that you have and prioritize your damage dealers for the Goblin. Make sure you have at least 3 DPS champions that can do the Goblin without the Traveler and without the tank or something else. Because you wanna be able to farm the Goblin. That's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm gonna smash the Goblin. I already farmed some of the domains today, yesterday, and the day before, and I have some materials. I'm not loaded on the materials. Don't think that I'm just gonna be able to go in there and just make everybody to level 70, because my poison materials, for example, are just 0. I have none, you know? Sorry, I just clicked on the wrong thing. But this is what I have available. I can make 2-3 champions from different elements at 70 if I need to, you know? So this is gonna be helpful because I'm gonna need to build another team to advance my main team. So the next trick is that when you are doing domains, you cannot go against the fire domain with fire and poison because they are weak against the same element. So flame domain, sorry, I'm keep calling it fire, but you guys know what I mean. So fire and poison damage taken by enemies are reduced by 30%. So already if I'm going against the flame domain with a flame and toxic poison team, I have my damage reduced by 30% against the same element. And the boss's damage is increased by 30% against my element. So that means that if I want to farm the flame domain to advance my flame and poison team, I need to come and beat this boss with either a frost and necrosis team, either with a radiant and lightning team, either with a combination of the other 4 elements. So keep that in mind, okay? That's why I'm saying it. You gotta prioritize the Goblin, you gotta think about the domains, and then worry about dungeons and the rest of the content like the temporal vortex and other stuff like this. Because if in the first week or two, you're able to push your progression to maximum and take advantage of all these things, you're not gonna have any problems whatsoever to beat the rest of the content and make it a walk in the park. But hopefully you found this video helpful, guys. This will be my team that I'm keeping. I'm gonna keep the Trollgar. I'm gonna keep my Traveler, of course. I have Dane as a super good DPS champion for the Goblin. I have Florbart. He's gonna tank for me. He's good even in the Goblin to tank. It might not allow me necessarily to 3-star the highest difficulty, but he's gonna do a decent job. Then I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna keep Anna or I'm gonna bring in my legendary cleanser, Ghoul Ende. She has a long cooldown, how I mentioned. Then I have Hexandra and I have Voresh. Now Voresh can be used as a DPS champion, so I have 1 DPS, 2 DPS when I'm swapping to fire, 3 DPS, and I'm already clicking on the element slowly if I'm bringing in Voresh as my tank. And then I have 5, so 4 DPS with the tank to do my Goblin. And if I'm doing now Goblin 1, I can 3-star the last stage without a problem. But today I'm actually about to go and do my dailies and unlock Goblin 2, which will be down here, and that will give me even more potions, and I can unlock the runes, so I can slowly make my characters even stronger. But that was all for this video, guys. Hopefully you found it helpful how I mentioned it before, and let me know in the comments down below what is the team that you are picking, okay? Keep in mind this, the secret, the recipe is to combo the right things and prioritize the Goblin first, because that will enable you to build more teams much faster than farming dungeons. If you get more gear, you're not going to be able to build more teams because you're just going to be able to beat slightly harder content. Keep that in mind. Very, very important. Attack down, tank, support, healer, cleanser, DPS. As much DPS as possible. That was all for the video. Much love. I'll catch you all soon in the next one. Peace.